Yes. Which takes place, I want to say, also in New Englandy somewhere. Is it going to tell me? It doesn't. But this one, we follow sisters who are known for being cross country famous. I don't know if like famous, but like that's their thing. Their thing is cross country. But then a new girl shows up who kind of upstages them, and then that girl disappears, maybe been murdered, and so eyes turn to our sisters who were, displaced when the new girl arrived. And last one I'm most excited for, and I think I'm going to start this one first, is Toby Mcsmith's follow-up to Stay Gold Act Cool, which they're not related. Here we follow August. We follow August, who is going to a performing arts high school in New York City. Love that for him. But the thing is, his parents kind of kicked him out when they found out that August was transgender. They weren't really feeling it. And they have agreed to allow him to stay with his aunt in the city as long as he doesn't transition. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think August is going... I don't know what's going to happen here. But I have a feeling that August is going to have a happy story. Stay Gold was a little bit bittersweet, but at the end of the day, it did have a happy ending. So I think that this is going to get emotional, but I think that things are going to work out okay for August. He's going to get to live his dream, get to do his thing, and I love that for him. But with that said, I'm going to go ahead and press start on the timer. I'll check in once I've read some. I think I am going to start with Act Cool. So once I've read some of this and I have things to say, I'll come back here. I'll check in. We'll do the thing that we do. I've read to page 114, so we're here. I'm about a third of the way through the book. The book is 345 pages or so. So far, I think that Stay Gold was a little bit better at the start than Act Cool is. I'm going to hold up the dust jacket, because at least the dust jacket is pretty. And it's not that I hate it, that I'm hating this. I also want to clarify that in the intro to this, I definitely said that our boy August Green was kicked out, and that is incorrect. He ran away. So let's set the record straight. He ran away because his mother, very Christian lady, his stepfather is a weirdo. I'm getting weird vibes from Randy. I don't know what that man is doing, but he needs to be investigated for something. But they were not supportive of his transition, and so he ran away to his aunt, Lil. She's living in the city with her African-American partner, Davina. They're lesbians in love, and I love that for them. They live in, like, this weird, like, pineapple decorated home, which is quirky and weird, but I love that for them. It's also very clear to me that she has money. Just, like, by the way that they like operate and move, and she's like an artist, she has money. Like, this is not a poor woman. So love that for Lil. But he got into the school, so he is attending the School of Performing Arts. Not the best name, not gonna lie. I feel like we could have got a little bit more creative there, Toby, but it is what it is. But he's there, he's doing his thing, he's living his life, and he's just kind of trying to fit in, trying to get the vibe of the place. He has a crush on his classmate Yasmin, and interesting looking situation could happen there, but Yasmin is not a single lady. She's not a single lady, she has a man, so we'll see. There's also like this weirdness that's going on with this girl, Anna. I feel like Anna's gonna stab our boy August in the back. It's giving weird vibes. I'm uncomfortable with her. There's somewhat of a friend group. He has this friend. I forget her name. I know that Mina is in the group, and there's another person in the group that was also trans. She's like a trans girl, and like they have a fun little dynamic. I'm like totally blanking on her name, but I like their friendship. But Anna, like I said, is going to stab this man in the back. August is trying to settle in, trying to find his way. He's very nervous because he's coming from like the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania, and all these other students have been, doing their thing at the performing high school for like a hot second, and so he's just like what's happening. He's also like, do they know I'm trans? Like, there's a lot of stuff that's happening with him that's like visceral. He went to this show. He went to like a play that was high key transphobic, and that was uncomfortable for him. So you really hated to see that. Like, Act Cool is just coming together in such a way that I don't know what I was expecting, but this isn't hitting what I'm expecting. But I don't hate it. Like, I'm having a good time. Like, I don't think it's a step down. And this cover is still gorgeous. Like, I don't own very many purpley pinky books like this, so this is just really stunning in person. So I'm gonna go back, continue watching my reading sprints. I think I will finish this sometime tonight, because I am like a third of the way through after the first 45-minute sprint, and I think we're into one more 45-minute sprint in this replay that I'm watching. So love that for me. I think I'll do another after I'm done with like this stream. I'm gonna watch one more stream of sprints, and then I'm going to allow myself to just like watch YouTube, find something on Netflix, and relax for tonight. And then I'm gonna tackle these two tomorrow, maybe. We'll see what happens. I'm on page 244, so I have like 99 pages to go of Act Cool by Toby Mcsmith. I left my phone over there. 1 second. Let me grab it so we can show you what's going on the timer. So we have 21 hours and 15 minutes left in this readathon situation. So this is definitely going to happen. We're going to get this read. So this will have happened in... It's been 2 45-minute sprints, so 1 hour and a half, but 4 hours since I started the timer. I think next I'm going to go with They'll Never Catch Us by Jessica Goodman, because it's a thriller, so I think it'll be fast-paced. But on to what I've been reading here in Act Cool. So the situation has deepened. Juliet was the character, the trans girl that's at the school. Because I know I fucked up earlier and I didn't say her name, so Juliet. But I've been reading part 2 for most of the past sprint that I was on, where the School of Performing Arts is putting on a production of Grease, and August has decided to audition for the role of Rizzo. Now, this is multifaceted because at the start, the book starts with August auditioning to get into the School of Performing Arts, and so the entire time that we've known August, we know that he wants to play male roles, or roles that have been traditionally played by men on Broadway stages, as well as roles that have traditionally been played by just regular cisgender women on the Broadway stage. He, at this point, isn't really, I don't want to say interested in, but he hasn't considered, or it's not like his main goal to like originate a trans role on the Broadway, or like play a trans role on Broadway, because he's like, there just aren't enough of them to have a career. And I think that some of the narrative around that has just been really interesting, but also it's kind of, this could come out in like a way that I don't mean it for it to come out. But I do think that a lot of times when you're reading books by marginalized authors, about marginalized characters, so in this case a trans man, or even, this happens a lot in Black fiction, where the youth are supposed to be like activists. And I say this because there's a situation where halfway through part 2, when they're going through their rehearsals for Grease, it's revealed that a new play called Conversion is going to be workshopping at the School of Performing Arts, and it's going to be about a trans character being sent to a conversion therapy camp, which is a little bit on the nose, because that's about, like, that's what was happening with August before he ran away from home. He was going to be sent into a conversion therapy camp. And so, again, but whatever, I'm gonna allow it. It's not like unfeasible, right? Like, this is a thing that could very realistically happen. But the production of that workshop has got some very negative press because they cast a cisgender actor in the role of the main trans character. And so August is in this position where he's like, I really don't care. Like, I'm focusing on Grease right now. Like, my life is falling apart. I'm not trying to be the activist character that Anna is. And Anna is having all of these lines like, how come I have to explain this to you and I have to do this to you? And it's kind of like, it's just a little refreshing to read about a teen character that is like learning and approaching these topics at the same time and is not like frontline warrior activist character. And it's not to say that teens aren't activists. There are plenty of teens who are engaged, who are that. But I think that when it comes to marginalized books, we often get, and I think that those, I don't know if overrepresented is the word that I want to use, but I feel like those stories get told more often than the character who is like, oh, I hadn't really had to, like, my life has had all this other shit going on, that's kind of the thing that I wasn't worried about at this particular moment in time, but let me get back to you on that. And so August having to maneuver through that, I think is really interesting, a little bit refreshing to me personally. The more that I've read of this, I've been able to not compare it to Stay Gold, because I don't think that this book is, like, there's completely different stories. But I do like both of them. I do think this is a solid follow-up. This is a solid, it's definitely cementing for me that Toby Mcsmith writes books that I want to read, and more importantly, that I'm happy that other people have access to. I'm sure there are plenty of books that I haven't read that feature trans men as main characters, but Toby Mcsmith is out here giving that to the children, so I love that for them. I love that for, not even just for children, because I'm a whole 26 years old reading about these trans characters, like reading about these children having a great time. So even I think older audiences can connect here. I do want to give a warning that our main character does get dead named by his familial relations when they come to see him at the school. I'm not going to repeat that name, but the main character definitely does get dead named. So if that's going to be a trigger for you, know that going in. But so that happened. But so far, everything, like the transphobic play that August saw, we didn't have to read any of those like actual slurs. We just knew that was happening on stage. So far, there hasn't been a third act hate crime. I don't think we're going to get a third act hate crime in this. I think we only got the third act hate crime in Stay Gold because of all of the overall references to The Outsiders, which I've never read, but I believe it like has to do with gangs. And so there was a hate crime in that book, but I don't think we're going to get one in this one outside of his parents just being horrible people and the step parent, Randy, who continues to give bad vibes. So I'm not going to go into what I am reading this just yet because I still have 100 pages, but this is going to be at least a 4 or 5 star read. I tweeted that I finished that book, which was Act Cool by Toby Mcsmith. I haven't rated it on Goodreads yet because I'm actually going to keep this like a secret TBR situation, so it's not on Goodreads just yet, so I have time to like actually rate it. But on my spreadsheet, I gave it 5 stars because I had a wonderful time. I loved it. It was here for it. The last third of the book was definitely heavier because we're definitely dealing with August confronting a lot of issues about the play and his home and like family life and things. There's definite mentions in the book of gender dysmorphia. Maybe not dysmorphia, but like that other. No, I think it's dysphoria, but I don't know if body dysmorphia as much as gender dysphoria was touched upon. Definitely talks of like suicide, heavier definite themes in that last third of the book, but it definitely ends just like Stay Gold on a nice upswing that I just like. I really like how Toby Mcsmith writes his books. I like the characters that he creates, and I'm very much looking forward to whatever he comes up with next because both of these have been wins for me and I highly recommend. But I'm going to move on to They'll Never Catch Us by Jessica Goodman. It's just around 9 o'clock for me, so I'm going to start reading this tonight so I can finish it tomorrow. This again is about sisters who are cross-country runners. New girl comes to town. Mysterious things happen. It's kind of like spooky Yuki. It's kind of like a thriller mystery situation. I really enjoyed their first book, like I did all of the people in this reading vlog. So I'm hoping that we have another 5-star read on our hands. I definitely need it. The last book, as I was updating my spreadsheet, that I read was Firefly Lane, which was a reading vlog that I did for my patrons over on Patreon. But that's not what this video is about. So I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna read this. Hopefully I enjoy it. If I don't, you'll be the first to know. But I gotta go because now I'm actually watching live sprints, so talking to y'all is cutting into my reading time. I am back with an update on They'll Never Catch Us by Jessica Goodman. I'm on page 88, so I've officially read if I held the book the right way, I've read a quarter of the book. I've actually read a little bit more than a quarter. I've read about 26% of this installment, so I love that for me. I ordered a pizza, not vegan, so I'm gonna have to go pick that up in a little bit, so we'll see what's happening there. We're not gonna tell the white vegans, so if you're a white vegan, you didn't hear that I ordered a regular pizza. You didn't hear that. That you didn't hear it from me anyway. So if you no, but They'll Never Catch Us. So let's talk about it. Here we're following two sisters, Stella and Ellie, which I think is a little bit ugly, not gonna lie. It's definitely giving white people vibes. Now, they are Jewish, so maybe that's the heritage, but I feel like as a parent, I could not name one child Stella and my next child Ellie. Stella and Ellie are sisters. I believe we're in like upstate New York, middle of New York. I don't know where in New York we are, but I think we're in New York. And we know that in the previous year, Stella had some kind of incident with one of the cross-country girlies, and that kind of fucked it up. She had to do some over the summer anger management classes. We know that Stella and Ellie's mother is an alcoholic who went to rehab when they were younger. And then she relapsed when they were in like the 5th grade, so like 8 or 9. And now she's back. They're doing the thing. You love to see recovery. We know that they're Jewish, and we know that Mila has arrived on the scene. And we know that Mila was the like best in-state cross-country person in Connecticut the year before, which is kind of bad because we know that Stella needs to be number 1, like needs to do all the great things because of that incident she had last year where I think she like attacked this poor girl. I don't know what happened. We haven't got that far yet. We just know that something happened that required her to do some, anger management classes at this special cross-country camp. So we know that Mila is here. At the part that I just finished reading, Mila had won the first meet, so tensions are a little bit high. From the summary, I know that Mila is going to disappear or go missing or like die. We know that the book is set in Edgewater, and we know that in this city, in this little community out here in the wilderness, they have had 3 girls die. The first one was a black girl, because of course she was, and the town didn't really do anything. And then a week or so later, like very quickly afterwards, another girl popped up dead in the same spot in the same way. And they were like, that's weird. That's suspicious. And then a third girl popped up and they were like, okay, this is doing too much. But I think the third girl was dead. And it was a different girl who like disappeared from town. And then it was revealed that she just like ran off to New Jersey and got married in Atlantic City. So we know that there is a history of cross-country girlies dying in the city. We know that Mila is here. So like all the pieces have been moved in. But I'm going to keep reading because I'm not tired. And I still have to pick up a pizza in like 40 minutes. So I'm going to continue reading They Wish They Were Us. I might finish this tonight. Who knows? I certainly don't. But my plan is to read this till the end of the sprint. I think I have like 10 minutes left on the sprint at this point, maybe 15 if I'm lucky, fingers crossed. I'm going to read. I'm going to pick up the pizza, have some pizza, might have some coffee. I don't know, I haven't decided because I only have the 2 things to read. I have this and then Heartbreakers and Fakers, which I'm assuming is going to be more of like a standard contemporary romance. So it is currently 10:59 and I have 18 hours and 23 minutes left on this 24-hour timer. Technically not a 24-hour timer, but as close as I could get with Apple. And I'm currently 40% of the way through this. I'm on page 135, about to start chapter 15. I do need to give another content warning. So They'll Never Catch Us definitely has I don't know if a graphic is like the correct word, but it is an on-page situation where one of the main characters, Ellie, goes through with an abortion. So that is on the page. I don't know if like side effects is like, I guess it's their side effects of the procedure or like what's happening, are detailed on the page. It's like 2 pages in the narrative, but it's definitely something that is addressed on the page. So know that. I don't know if that's like some like people's triggers, but I would mention it just because it isn't something that appears in a lot of books. So there is an on-page abortion scene in this particular book that I'm reading. At the part where I just left off, our character Mila has definitely vanished. We don't know if she's dead, if she's been snatched. We just know that she missed her work shift. She hasn't been to school for a couple of days. I do think that I like this more than They Wish They Were Us. They Wish They Were Us was billed to me as kind of like an Upper East Siders type story. These like very privileged, I think that was set in Connecticut. Maybe it was also in New York, but like I feel like it was more Connecticut. But it was very much like a private prep institution, like very rich, wealthy characters, murder. This, I think, is doing a much better job of making me care about Stella and Ellie, even though I think they should have been named differently. In this, like, small town, cozier, like, it's not quite atmospheric. I think that the reader is doing a lot to give it the atmosphere, but I'm enjoying it. I don't hate it. I'm having a good time, and I think that that's what I'm going to say counts. So I'm enjoying this a little bit more than the debut, whereas with Toby Mcsmith, I feel like it was more, they were both really good, just very different stories, and these are different stories as well, but one is just better than the other. So far so good. Thrillers, it's always the ending that I think doesn't work. But here I think that while Jessica's doing like a slower start, because I've read 130 pages, and it wasn't until 125 that Sis was dead, missing, snatched, whatever. So I don't know. The book is only 300 pages. So I don't know. For me, I do think that a lot of times authors spend a lot of time with the reveal, the unmasking of the murderer. And so, like, the beginning part of the book, I think, can feel unmoored. And I think that Jessica Goodman is doing a really good job of establishing the characters, establishing the city, establishing even, like, side characters and dynamics and, like, the layers, and giving you red herrings, like, even before the person is going missing. Like, you can see people having a motive, but it's not like some random person is like investigating and like pointing the fingers. I also think that it's going to help that our protagonists aren't, well, so I don't know if they're actually going to investigate, but they are, at least from the pitch, more like suspects. Like the eye is on them, whereas I think on a lot of times that I'm reading a thriller, it's the eye. I mean, what was it? A Slow Fire Burning by Paula Hawkins. Hawkins. I think it's Hawkins. I listened to that. Haven't talked about it on the channel yet. I'll talk about it in my wrap up. I listened to a copy thanks to Libro through their ALC program. And I think that one also, we had a perspective who were like, the eye was on them, but we also had perspectives of like people attempting to investigate. So I think that I appreciate a thriller when one of the perspectives is like the accused and not so much like regular people trying to investigate a crime. I think for me, thrillers fall apart when regular people are trying to solve a crime, because even the police are bad at it, and so you're also going to be bad at it. But there's literally no way to hold a civilian accountable. I mean, the police don't get held accountable either, but at least in the world of fiction, I can pretend. I can suspend my disbelief, and maybe they will. But a civilian, like, you're literally just, you're not doing anything to help anybody. You're not even helping yourself. So far, I'm having a good time. I'm enjoying the character work. I think we're having a good time. But I'm going to go. I'll check in when I've read some more. Probably when I finished at this point, because anything that I really update with after this is going to be a spoiler based on the nature of the book, like the genre that it takes place in. So I'll update you guys when I finish and when I'm about to start Heartbreakers and Fakers by Cameron Lund. What is up? So it's the morning. I finished reading They'll Never Catch Us by Jessica Goodman earlier this morning at like 1 o'clock, went to bed. I have 5.5-ish hours left on my timer. It's just about to be noon. I did some dice sprints with Becca, but I'm getting ahead of myself. As for this, I said in an earlier update, I think I like thrillers where the character isn't spending their time investigating, because I find that their investigation is lacking. And if I wanted to read an investigation, I would pick up just like a procedural, which I haven't read too many of. I really love procedurals on TV. Like 911 is my jam, fucking Chicago Fire, Law and Order SVU on occasion. So like I had like a big NCIS moment when I was a teenager. So maybe I should pick up like a procedural series, because there's tons of them out there. But I like the character who is just like in They'll Never Catch Us. Our main characters, Stella and Ellie, were kind of like being looked at, mostly Stella, as being the murderer. And I found that was just really fun, because we got to spend more time, I thought, developing character. And I wouldn't say that we were raising tension. I wouldn't call it a thriller so much as like a small town mystery, which is fine. I think I prefer straight mysteries to thrillers, and I do think that a lot of time, I said this already in another video, but in case this is the first time you're finding me, I do think that a lot of thrillers that get promoted on BookTube aren't thrillers, they're just straight mysteries. And so I think that can also lead to a lot of disappointment when there's like no tension, like there's no suspense. Here I thought there was a decent level of suspense, or a decent level of like twists and turns. It was a fun mystery. I really loved finding out like what happened to Mila, and then who did it. That was really well done. I thought I had it guessed, and then Jessica Goodman let me believe that my guess was correct. But when the actual reveal happened and we finally got the actual explanation, those crumbs were also left. And so I found that enough had been planted for me to just really enjoy it. And I think I said this earlier as well, but I did enjoy They'll Never Catch Us more than the debut that I read last year, They Wish They Were Us. So I don't remember what I gave They Wish They Were Us, but I did go ahead and give They'll Never Catch Us 5 out of 5 stars. I had a wonderful time. So shout out to Jessica Goodman. I still hate the formatting of this book, which is weird, because I'm going to talk about Heartbreakers and Fakers by Cameron Lund. Full disclosure here, Penguin, I think, tried to send me a finished copy of this, but I know they gave me an arc that I haven't read. So sorry, Penguin, but maybe you're watching this, because I will be including this vlog when I go to type out my NetGalley review. So I'm sorry, but Heartbreakers and Fakers is from the same imprint, Razorbill, and this is formatted like beautifully, but both of Jessica's books have like odd, like it's just odd from like the size of the font to just how it looks on the page. I don't know what it is, but I really hate the formatting in this book, and her first book has the same formatting, so I don't know what was going on there. I also don't think I'm on board with this new like glossy cover thing that books are starting to do. I think sometimes it works, a lot of the times it doesn't. I think this is one of the times that it doesn't work. I think some spot glossing for like the title could have been cute, but the whole cover being glossy was weird. But let's talk about Heartbreakers and Fakers by Cameron Lund. I really was pleasantly surprised by Cameron Lund's debut last year, The Best Laid Plans. That one I felt was a little bit more new adulty. I don't know why, but I feel like the characters there were like, they were in high school, but they had like graduated high school, and it was, I don't know, it was weird. but I enjoyed it. I had a really wonderful time. It was one of the best surprises of last year. I still haven't heard anybody talk about the best laid plans, and I think it's like a sleeper hit. That one's childhood friends to lovers. Hijinks ensue. I love to see it. Here, Heartbreakers and Fakers, as the title would suggest, and as I alluded to earlier in the reading vlog, we are following Penny. We just have her perspective here. So we have Penny, who at the start of the story is waking up on the lawn of her boyfriend Jordan, hungover, can't really remember everything that happened the night before, and it's revealed that she was caught kissing Kai, who was her best friend's boyfriend. And so there's like a big blow up. They're all mad at Penny. They're also kind of mad at Kai, but you know, Penny gets it a little bit more. And so Jordan and Penny break up, and Olivia and Kai break up. And it's kind of just like this big clusterfuck of like, what the hell happened? Because Penny and Kai have like this like rivals, antagonistic-esque dynamic to their relationship. And then we flash back. So the story is told in alternating timelines, where we have the before, where we start at the beginning of the school year, and then we have the present, which is happening at the end of their junior year, the summer going into their senior year of high school. So in the past storyline, we get to see Penny and Jordan and them like coming together, and we also get hints and like looks at Penny and Kai's relationship and the history that Penny and Olivia had, because they weren't always friends, and they kind of had like this moment where they put their middle school rivalry, like antagonistic ship aside. But it's really interesting, and I think that Cameron Lund is doing a better job than I would expect of any author to give me like alternating timelines, because that's not something that always works for me, and rivals, like antagonists to lovers, doesn't always work for me. And I'm not even sure that they're going to, because now not only have we got Kai and Penny as like antagonists, but there's like a fake dating situation happening with them now, because they're like, well, if we were just cheaters who did it because like for no reason, people are gonna hate us, but like if we at least pretend to like be together, maybe our friends won't hate us. It's like I don't know, there's like a lot of interesting things that are happening here, and a lot of interesting character work that, I don't know, all of these books, Act Cool, Heartbreakers and Fakers, and They'll Never Catch Us, all are doing like these really interesting character studies that I hadn't expected going into it. So like that's another kind of cohesive thing that's binding them all together. So if that's something that you're looking for in a contemporary, I would pick up any one of these three. I don't know if I like this more than the Best Laid Plans, but I am enjoying it. It's kind of similar to Act Cool, where I liked both of the books for different reasons, and not so much They'll Never Catch Us, which I think is just a better book than They Wish They Were Us. So this is interesting. Like I said, I have just over 5 hours left on my 24-hour timer, so I'm going to go here. I think I'm about halfway through this, so I only have like 160 more pages to go, and then I'll come back with my final thoughts, let you guys know what I thought of this experience. But this has been pretty successful. I do think that sometimes a sophomore book can come out and you're kind of like, oh, well, wasn't as good. So I'm happy that I gave all of these a shot. I've been putting off all of them for far too long because I was a little bit worried that they wouldn't live up to the love that I had for the author's first book, but I need to go. We did it. So I tweeted this out, so I've already stopped the timer, but I finished with 3 hours and 15 minutes to spare. So love that for me, love that for the culture. I did say in that little thread that I was giving on Twitter that I think I do want to do one where, when I say do a reading vlog, a 24-hour reading vlog, where I use the stopwatch and not the timer to see how many things I can actually read over the course of like a 24-hour period when I'm actively reading, because the timer was running while I was sleeping and while I was watching like other YouTube-y things that weren't necessarily me reading. So I am a little interested, because in just the X time to X time, I think this was like 5:17 p.m. to 5:17 p.m., I managed to finish all three of the books that I set out to read for this TBR. Gave all three of them a second chance to sort of wrap up Heartbreakers and Fakers by Cameron Lund. I am going to give this 5 out of 5 stars because I did love the characters. I really liked Penny. I liked the journey that she went on. As for the fake dating that was happening here to like make her ex-boyfriend and best friend jealous, there was a plot twist that happened. And when that was revealed to me, I was like, ooh. And I literally threw the book in the air because I was like, what is happening? It was the mess and drama that I hadn't expected to read or see or anything. Um, but at the same time, you guys, I don't know. Like, this is technically a romance, so there is a happy for now with one couple in this little quadrangle that they got going on. But part of me really wanted it to just be like contemporary and not have a couple end together. Just mostly based on the plot twist, because I was like, that's a little much. I mean, there's a character in here, Sarah, who Penny works with and is like teased previous. And Sarah tried to like, I think that Cameron Lund used Sarah to contextualize how we could have this end on a happy note. And even other people in the friend group tried to contextualize how this could end on a happy note. But some of it, I just, I don't know. So it really is like probably more objectively like a 3 or 4 star read. But for me personally, it ticked all of the boxes. So I'm going to give it the 5 stars. But there was some content that is just like, I don't know if I would actually root for the romance. I will also say that the book does have recurring themes of underage drinking. So if that's something that's going to bother you, know that going in, particularly because there's like a couple of scenes. Book starts, like I said, with Sis hungover, and then halfway through the book there's like a scene at like a cabin in the woods where we also get like the one bed trope situation where they have to like share a bed. And it was cute. It was definitely all for teenage audiences. Nothing here was like, teenagers aren't doing this. Like, this isn't appropriate for teenagers to do. I felt that it was an accurate depiction, but I do know that, underage drinking might not be for everybody. I will also say that the inciting incident felt a little dubious. It was a very much like some dubious consent, because we know that Penny was drunk as fuck when she kissed this man, and he was not as drunk, and I don't think he was drunk at all when he kissed her back. When I first read it, I was like, okay, I think he was drunk too. But then later on, the past storyline I was talking about, where we started at the beginning of the year and moved forward, that storyline eventually caught up to the inciting incident, and we got a broader context of everything that happened in that side laundry room, bathroom place. And that's when it felt a little bit more dubious. And again, another one of the reasons where I personally am not rooting for that relationship. I was just uncomfortable with it. So I also would warn readers about that going into this. But I did, like I've said many times already, I gave all 3 of these 5 stars. These are all authors that I think you should check out and like pay attention to. Of the 3 of these, I think Jessica Goodman is probably doing the finest, because she's like the op-ed editor at Cosmopolitan magazine, I want to say. Yeah. And her first book, They Wished They Were Us, is getting an adaptation. I think Halsey is going to be in it, and one of I think Hunter Schafer from Euphoria. It was an odd cast when I saw that. Is going to be in it, of the first book, They Wish They Were Us. So like Jessica Goodman like is going to do fine, but Cameron Lund and Toby Mcsmith are very much underrated in my humble opinion, and I think that more people should be reading both of these, particularly if you like enemies, rivals. Well, I wouldn't call them enemies, but like antagonists to lovers. If that's your vibe, you got this. If you like childhood friends to lovers, her debut, The Best Laid Plans, gives you that. So I don't have anything more to say. Thanks for coming on this journey with me. I'm not looking forward to the editing process, because I don't know how eloquent I was talking about these things. But let me know what you spent your weekend reading. As always, if you don't have anything to add, you can always drop this emoji down there in the comment section, and I'll see you guys again soon in another video. But until then, and until next time, bye.